Obviously, the Jewish people believed that they are God's chosen people and can talk to God directly via their sacred temple, while the Christian people believed that they are God's chosen people and can talk to God's Son as an intercessor via their holy church. Unfortunately, both the Jews and the Christians are right, as the Jews are God's chosen flesh and the Christians are God's chosen spirit. Note that all flesh is being called to eternal work, while all spirit is being called to eternal prayer, and then at the end of time, the spirit and flesh become one. The first redemption is a free gift, so that a person can be saved from the grave as the flesh is purified by fighting evil to fulfill God's law of obedience and change his nature from human to divine, thereby making him worthy of a new body. The second redemption must be earned, so that a person can be saved by the host, as the spirit is purified by surrendering his free will to God's divine will. This is done to fulfill man's faith of love, thereby washing away his sins, and change his sinfulness into holiness to make him worthy of eternal life. Obviously, God has created the city of Jerusalem to represent heaven on earth, and then created the city of Rome to represent paradise in heaven. This implies that through these two dimensions will come God's peace, joy, and happiness, so that God and man can become one flesh and one spirit. We see that in ancient times the Jews used the oil of myrrh to anoint a man's head for burial, while the Christians use the oil of frankincense to anoint a man's feet for resurrection. These two anointings of Jesus Christ by Joseph of Arimathea and Mary Magdalene sent the Son of Man, Jesus, into his tomb and then brought the Son of God, Christ, resurrection. We see that in the Lord's grand design, he has divided the primary functions of existence into three unique forces. 1. Committing transgressions, creating sin debt. 2. Repenting for transgressions, pay sin debt. And 3. Forgiving transgressions, removing sin debt. This continual operation both capitalizes and funds God's divine process by which forgiven transgressions represent some form of human loss that is returned to God in the form of a prayer of reconciliation. The Lord has sent humanity a Messiah to intercede by becoming a single human transgression of death, thereby allowing himself to become one with death itself in the form of the King of Death for life, and death to become one. As the King of Death, God's divine human Messiah has attained the power to forgive the curse of death caused by an intentional act of sinfulness by Adam's cowardice and Eve's ignorance. This means that Jesus Christ was to become sin, evil, and death upon Mount Calvary to bring forth man's bread of redemption and cup of salvation. In this way, the Lord is able to restore human life to any transgressor that in this case happens to be himself, as he takes on all sin or body broken and then gives up his divinity or blood shed to save the whole world.